Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. In the state of Montana, it's officially Columbus Day, but for some Montana cities, they're embracing the other side of history.
A bill to change this holiday to Indigenous Peoples Day got crushed in the legislature earlier this year, but that didn't stop some Montanans from forming their own holiday.
The city of Helena today marked its first official celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day.
People gathering at the steps of the city-county building to show their support for the change. The Helena City Commission unanimously passed a resolution in June to change the name of Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day.
Now, speakers at the event today stressing that today really is about celebrating Indigenous people and showing Native children that their heritage matters.
We, the Indigenous people, are the foundation of this country. And it is time that we need to be recognized for everything that we have done for this country.
Montana State University also celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. The celebration began with a group prayer and march around the Bozeman campus.
Students and members of the public then gathered on the Centennial Mall for speeches about the importance of officially recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day, as well as the missing and murdered Indigenous women epidemic affecting people all across the country.
I'm scared. I'm literally scared of hearing about my nieces going missing someday, about my sister, about my cousins, my friends, people in my community. This is an issue that hits way too close to home.
The city of Bozeman adopted Indigenous Peoples Day as today's official holiday in 2016.
Well, just the name Columbus Day is a title marred by controversy.
For the first time this year, 2 states and Washington, D.C. are not celebrating Columbus Day. Instead, they have changed the name to Indigenous Peoples Day. It's part of a movement happening nationwide.
Maya Rodriguez takes us inside that debate.
At the official National Columbus Day celebration in Washington, D.C., the pomp and circumstance is in full swing. But this year, the city itself isn't part of the party. A few days ago, the city council here voted to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, joining more than 100 cities and half a dozen states around the country that have chosen to honor Native Americans instead of the Italian explorer, whose arrival brought conflict with Indigenous people.
Columbus has a complicated history, but there's not one figure in history that does not have a complex history.
Anita Bevacqua McBride is with the National Italian American Foundation. They don't want to see Columbus Day disappear and argue there's enough room on the calendar for both days.
I think that's fair, but it doesn't, in our mind, give license to erase the fact of what he did in terms of the exploration of the New World.
I'm very proud of this vest. This is my grandfather's vest, and my great-grandmother made it. So that's a very sentimental piece to my family and I.
For Kevin Alice of the National Congress of American Indians, the change to Indigenous Peoples Day has been a long time coming.
We're not trying to rewrite history. We're just trying to make people take the time to look at what real history is and understand that we played an important role of that.
Roles in history still being debated in the present day. In Washington, I'm Maya Rodriguez reporting.
In other news tonight, a new service opened its doors on the Billings West End today with the goal of shortening lines at the Department of Motor Vehicles.
MVD Express offers a new location to renew driver's licenses, vehicle registration, and apply for a real ID, but that convenience comes with a cost.
KTVQ's Mitch Laggy is standing by now to tell us all about it. Mitch.
Well, Russ and Jeanelle, the New Mexico-based company MVD Express has been working with the state of Montana since 2017. Processing titles for car dealerships, and today the business is open to the public. MVD Express can perform most of the services that the regular DMV can, and it is not county specific, meaning that no matter where you live, MVD can help you out. For your vehicle, it can process registration, title, and temporary tags. And it can also process identification cards, driver's licenses, and issue real IDs. A flat processing fee of $34.99 will be charged to every transaction on top of the regular state fees. but it is open on Saturdays as opposed to the state DMV, which is closed. The hope is that the business will take the pressure off state workers during the run-up to the Real ID deadline.
We are hoping to at least get a third of their business to help try and alleviate that. You know, they are kind of hamstrung with their budget, and it's hard for them to open up new stores and hire a lot more people. So we have a great partnership with the DOJ to be able to help that overflow.
And the deadline to fly and enter federal buildings without a Real ID is October 2020. To get one, you'll have to bring proof of identity like a birth certificate or a passport, Social Security card or W-2, and 2 bills in your name. The state charges between $25 and $50 to issue a Real ID. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Mitch. Well, with less than a month until November's election for City Council, the Billings Chamber of Commerce has picked its favorites. The Chamber endorses candidates in Wards 1, 4, and 5, but did not choose to endorse anyone in Ward 2 or 3. Now, in Ward 1, Kendra Shaw, who topped the polls in her ward, receives the endorsement. She is facing off against John Armstrong. In Ward 4, Carmelita Dominguez gets the boost from the Chamber. She was second in the polls and will go toe-to-toe with Pam Purrington. And in Ward 5, Mike Boyette gets the Chamber's nod. He topped his ward in the primary and is going against Dennis Ulvestad. Now, Roy Neese and Randy Hines are facing off in Ward 2, and Danny Chiriki and Aldo Rowell are vying for votes in Ward 3. If you'd like to hear for yourself, all 10 candidates will square up for a candidate forum. That's tomorrow night at the Billings Public Library at 5:30 p.m.
A published report says Montana's Secretary of State Corey Stapleton not only used a state pickup truck improperly to commute often from Helena to his family home in Billings, but also that he drove that truck on the weekends, holidays, and during his first 27 months on the job. Stapleton, however, told MTN News on Monday that the weekend story by the Associated Press had no new information. He says his use of the state motor pool truck on a long-term lease was always meant to enhance his work as Secretary of State. He also says it's inaccurate to suggest that using the truck on weekends or holidays was not related to his state work. A state audit in June said state law does not allow using a state vehicle to commute more than 30 miles and that Stapleton was using it to drive 240 miles to Billings. Stapleton returned the vehicle to the motor pool this April after auditors raised questions. The AP story said he drove the truck an average of 2,500 miles a month in the first 27 months on the job, and since April has driven a state vehicle only 500 miles a month. Stapleton was elected as Secretary of State in 2016. He's one of 5 Republicans running for Montana's open U.S. House seat in 2020.
Well, President Trump has put a hold on the proposed tariff increase on Chinese imports, which was supposed to go into effect tomorrow.
Because of lace and silk imports, bridal shops across the nation are on edge. They want to see when or if this proposed increase will be enacted. MPN's Jessica Nelson is in Helena, where one owner says she's prepared no matter what the outcome.
In the women's clothing department, we're hoping to be given an exception.
Linda Campbell owns Linda's Bridal Images here in Helena, and she is already taking measures to prepare if President Trump's proposed tariff increase is put in place. Linda says worst case scenario, if those numbers were to go up, customers would see a big impact.
A $1,000 dress will become a $1,500 dress. So that's big. That's a market that we just can't afford.
Linda has signed several petitions from the International Bridal Manufacturers Association to make bridal shops an exception to the tariffs. She has also been in close contact with her vendors and feels at this time, because of the precautionary measures she has taken, there is no need to panic.
Great to know that our vendors already are saying, relax, it's okay, we've got you. We understand they need us as much as we need them. So it's kind of helped calm my nerves quite a bit. I am not really concerned right now.
Linda says if you are engaged and looking for a wedding dress, come into the shop, try the dresses on, and don't fall victim to online counterfeit dresses.
Every year we have girls come in with their boxes that they get their online dresses from. They show us the picture. This is what it was supposed to look like, and this is what came to me. Some circumstances they get a box with a dress and a bag of beads and a bag of lace.
In the long run, she says you'll be spending way more money to fix that dress than you would coming into the shop and picking one out in person. In Helena, Jessica Nelson, MTN News.
Thanks, Jessica. Now, there's no word yet on when the proposed tariff would be put into place.
In the meantime, if you're in need of a wedding dress, now might be a good time to buy.
Well, there's more news from across our state on tonight's MTN Statewide News. Delay of game. A grassroots group in Butte says hold on when it comes to the cleanup plan for Butte and Silver Bowl Creek. Join me tonight at 9 on your CW station to find out why.
But first, still to come on tonight's 5:30 news, it's a man on a mission, but before he can protect his country, he wants to protect his dog too. Find out how you can help.
And later in sports, the Grizz are suddenly a top 5 football team. Scott shows us exactly where they land and what Bobby Houck says regarding Saturday's Sac State road trip.
And temperatures were close to seasonal averages today, but the wind made it feel a lot cooler at times. We'll take a look at the forecast coming up in just a little while.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.